What's going on, guys? It's Brian here. Second video upload, 2 days in a row. But today we're gonna go over macronutrient ratios. So depending on client's goal, whether they want to lean bulk or whether they want to cut or shred for the summer, I'm gonna give you a specific equation to follow. Kept it really simple. Promise you this will be the easiest equation, easiest ratio to follow, and just to kind of understand. I know there's a lot of YouTube videos out there, or just all over the internet on just different trainers, different nutrition enthusiasts who they teach you how to do it. But I feel like this is the most simplest way to do it. I'm not a nutrition major, I'm just a trainer. I'm in school for physical therapy, but I'm telling you, this is really simple. All right, so we're gonna go over it. Okay guys, so before I kind of started here, I actually wrote down everything first. All right, so if you guys want to screenshot that, go ahead, just for reference. Okay, and then we'll begin. So we have Brian here. So my client is about 5'5" and about 155 pounds. So he is he's at the end of his bulking season, or we can say he has been eating unhealthy because he had finals for school and he just gained weight, and yeah, so that's where he's at, right? So his goal, right, what he told me is he wants to cut and be shredded for the summer. And at the end of this other corner of the board, his goal is to drop 20 to 135 pounds. Let's come back here. So we first want to figure out his resting metabolic rates, right? RMR, very easy equation. It's just 155 times 10, which is 1550. RMR is basically the amount of calories that is expended just from a very sedentary lifestyle. It's just the way your body kind of expends energy, because our intestines are always working, our heart is always beating, our brain's always going, it's always working. So physiologically, our body's always functioning, right? So from a resting state. Now everyone has a different lifestyle factor. I wrote down 4 numbers here. All right, these are the standard numbers based on several books that I've read, several certification books. They all have very similar numbers, slightly different, but I took the averages, and we got these 4, right? So for Brian, he is, he's active. Let's say he works out almost every other day. So we're gonna choose 1.75. So now we're gonna multiply that number by 1550. And we get that number. So throughout a full day, after Brian works out, does his chores, goes to school, he expends that amount of calories daily on average, right? Now, what is recommended, let's say he has a trainer and he recommended that he dropped minus 250 on a caloric deficit. So we would get this number, right? So 2,712.50 minus 250, and we get that. Now every trainer is different. Some trainers they might start out with 250, and that's great. That's a good slow start, and I feel like that's what everyone should do. Start off slow and kind of slowly adapt to increasing that number. All right, some trainers can be mean. They'll be like, yeah, let's start with 500 because we really want you to get to, but that may be also the client's personal goal. All right, so we got that number. We're gonna move on. We're gonna start off with our first protein, our first macronutrient ratio. I came up with 3 factors here. So 0.8, 1.0, 1.20. I wrote down the numbers to get the amount of protein that I need. So it's basically just 0.80 times my weight, 155, right? Or 1.0 times 155, or 1.20 times 155, and I would get these numbers, right? That's the amount of protein that I would need to consume. So how do we choose that number? I kind of wrote down a very simplified description here. For someone who is a beginner, it's going to be tough for them to kind of meet that protein goal, and they're not really sure on what foods contain a lot of protein, or they're just not that educated. And not all people are into fitness. They just want to get to that goal, looking good, and not all people are very, they're not into fitness. So I gave a slightly lower number than 1.0. We start off with 0.80, and I feel like that's a great number for just beginners to start and kind of get to that protein intake, right? People who are unconditioned or unhealthy or a beginner. So most trainers will recommend 1.0 to kind of start off with, 1 gram per pound of protein, and that's easy to follow. It's just your body weight, right? And then for people who want to get shredded, people who are pretty advanced into fitness and bodybuilding, just very athletic, they want to go with something that's much higher than 1.0 grams per protein per pound. So that's later into their their fitness goal, where they're competing for men's physique, right? But yeah, that's tough. You would really need to rely on supplements. It's probably pretty expensive to get all the groceries that you need, but yeah, that's way more than my body weight, 186, right, as opposed to 155. But all right, so we're gonna move on to fats. So this is more of a personal preference. Some people, I guess it depends on what you like. Okay, do you like more carbs, or do you like more fats in your diet? This is more of a personal preference, and for me, I feel like I'm more used to eating healthy fats, nut butters, cashew butter, almond butter, or just peanut butter, or even just trail mix. Avocados, I love avocados. I eat it with my scrambled eggs, almost every morning. And I use olive oil for almost everything, olives, cheese, which actually you probably want to lay off of. Cheese is not the best, but for vegans, I recommend nutritional yeast. All right, that's a great alternative. But anyways, if you're a carb lover, right, then you can actually drop your fats and take in more carbohydrates. So if you love jasmine rice, brown rice, beans, bread, pasta, right, some very dense fruits, bananas, those are all high in carb, right? So it all really depends. I actually like both, man. I love jasmine rice. Yeah, so yeah, I would stick with fats for now. The good thing about this, the beauty of the fat ratio is that you can choose. You can always you can change up your diet weekly, right? If you want to try a higher fat diet, go with that. If you want to try a higher carb diet, go with that. But you want to still recommend, I would still recommend staying within that range, right? That's all it is, just manipulating that ratio. Next up, carbohydrates. So we all know we got two ratios down, right? Proteins and fats. Okay, 155 and 62 grams. Now, how do we figure out carbohydrates? Well, we first need to convert these numbers into the calories, which is that. Now, how did I get those numbers? Well, we should know the basics, that 1 gram of carb is 4 cal, 1 gram of protein is 4 cal, and 1 gram of fat is actually 9 cal. So for people who actually want to make a certain weight, say they want to bulk, eat more fats, healthy fats, obviously, because it's almost 2.5 times more, right, than carbs and protein. So I get these two numbers, I add them up. Okay, 620 plus 558, 1178, right? So now, what was my total caloric recommendation? It was 2462.5, but I did some math in there. Okay, minus proteins and fats calories, right, which is that number. So now we need to convert that into grams, which is just dividing by 4, right? Because remember, 1 gram of carb is 4 calories, and I get that number. That's the amount of carbohydrates that I would need to consume on a daily basis. So for the final ratio, it's basically that. All right, guys. So after we get those percentages, right now I'm in my MyFitnessPal here, but I'm on my laptop. You can download the app. It is a lot easier, but I felt like this was easier to kind of screen record. So my total caloric intake, right, that I needed to do. Let me just kind of edit that really quickly. 2462.5. Okay, so let's just say 2463, right? We gotta kind of keep it simple. All right, my carbs were about 29%. I'm gonna say 30. All right, we gotta keep these numbers somewhat simple here. My fats was actually 12%. I'll do 15, but these all need to add up to 100, right? So my protein was 29%, and let's put 30. Is that gonna add up? Oh my goodness, what was carbs again? Oh, carbs was 59. I messed up. So we're gonna say 60. 105. So see, this is where you can kind of play around too with it, right? But you want to kind of stay close. Oh my god, who is calling? All right, there you go. So that's around the percentages that I calculated from earlier. Okay, so we plug in the percentages in our total caloric intake. All right, we go to food, and right here it's kind of different if you go on a browser, like on your laptop or like a desktop, but on an app it's much easier. You can plug in the food that you eat, and it'll just give you just the different nutrients, right? It's a lot easier than kind of having to memorize it. But so on the desktop it's a little different, but it'll tell you everything: the amount of protein, carbs, fats, even the vitamins and minerals, other nutrients that are in food, right? Sodium, sugar. Okay, I also do recommend keeping your sodium down, your sugars down, but that's kind of more into nutrition that we need to get into. So this is just a much easier way to kind of track your macros. So about that caloric deficit, right? So after you get the total amount of calories that you have a goal for, so I minus 250, right, to start off for beginners. Let's say after that first week, you are making progress. You're losing weight. You're getting the proper amount of muscle mass that you need. You're leaning out. It's great. You can stay with that minus 250. You can modify it after the first week, after the second week. Start to minus 300 or minus 500. Kind of reduce that caloric intake weekly, or you can actually change your macronutrients. Maybe eat more protein and eat less fats, or eat more carbohydrates if you need more energy. And drop down your fats. So it's all about manipulating that ratio. Okay, so those are the other big things. And also document your weight every single morning, right? Every single day. Write down what weight you are, see if you are progressing, and if not, then again, manipulate that ratio. Maybe drop down the calories, add in an extra 20 minutes of cardio into your routine, add in a little more resistance training, start to maybe modify your exercises. In that part, that's where us trainers come in, and we modify your workouts and your diet. But again, this is just the basics of finding your macronutrient ratio. All right, thank you so much, guys.